How's it going? I'm Colby and I just finished up this Greedo helmet and I'm going to walk you through step by step on how I did it. Alright, this is one of my favorite parts, just watching the print come together. This is actually my first print on the Elegoo Neptune 4 Max. Overall it went pretty well. You just got to do a lot of calibrations with this. I did have one error, which you can kind of see maybe on the ear. I'll explain how I fixed that in just a minute. Alright, so here's what I was talking about. I just had a little issue where I had to change the filament, and that happened in the middle of the night, so I had a little bit of a layer problem. So yeah, you can see that the ear kind of fell off, and then right where the ear meets the head it was able to correct itself, thankfully. So what I did was I just flipped another copy of the head to the side and pulled it under the plate, and basically just printed out another ear, and then I just cut it out with actually a saw. And right now I'm just marking the spots roughly of where the cut should be so I can mold that on. Here I was just testing, lining it up, and it's not quite there. It was still a little bit too much on that extra piece, so I need to cut off a little bit more. And then once I got it close enough, it's time just to gently stick the piece onto the main part of the ear, just using my soldering iron with the blunt blade attachment. Got it at about 420 degrees or so. Just being gentle with it. A lot of this is going to be covered up once the other part of the ear is glued onto it. So right now I'm just trying to get it stuck on there and being gentle with it. It doesn't look too bad. Close enough for a first run, I think. I'll do some smoothing of that later on the spots that actually matter. And then I get to the little bumps on Greedo's head here where there were supports, and so I'm just smoothing those out with a different end of the soldering iron, so I'm not using the blunt blade anymore. Same thing with the back of the ear, getting some of those support spots, and then also I did get the back of the broken ear too. Then we get into putting the mouth on. This is where it starts coming together and actually looking like Greedo. Just taking the soldering iron and smoothing that in. Take your time with this, be gentle with it, don't press too hard. Just slowly working your way around the mouth into the little grooves, the little skin fold things, just working that into there, and I'll smooth that out a little bit once we get to sanding. Alright, and then what I'm doing here is I'm just dropping a little bit of leftover filament into all of the glue lines where different pieces of the helmet were put together. So I just melt those in there, make sure it has a nice and sturdy connection there. And yeah, then I get into just gluing the ears on. He's gonna look even more like Greedo. This part's just really fun when you just start to see it come together. I had a little bit of support junk on the bottom of this still, so I took a little bit of extra glue to stick it on there. This isn't rocket science, dude. And then I'll just show a couple of these, gluing the little mohawk pieces on. I thought these were all universal. I think I was wrong about that, so I'm going to skip a lot of this part. It was a bunch of trial and error sticking those on. Alright, next step, I am spraying on just truck bed liner. Just doing a couple light coats on there. I'm not trying to spray too much, but trying to get into the crevices. Truck bed liner gives it just that nice grit to it. And then getting into just wet sanding with a 600 sandpaper. I'm using the old rust bucket here. I would prefer a running stream, but my wife probably wouldn't be too happy about me doing that in the sink. Also, I know you guys are enjoying the Walmart Rugged Sharks. I like to rock those things all the time. Alright, then I'm coming back after that's all dried off and hitting it with just some Rust-Oleum textured paint. I don't really need any primer just because of the truck bed liner. So then I can just hit it with the textured paint just to give it that extra alien sort of gritty feel to it before we actually get into painting. Doesn't look too bad. There's some spots that are lighter, but you know what? Not too big of a deal. Alright, then we're just hitting them with the spring green Rust-Oleum. It's a really bright color, but it's always good to start bright so then you can start adding detail and just get darker with it later on. And I made sure to do 2 or 3 coats of this too. I always end up missing a couple spots. Now it's time to really make Greedo come to life. So what I'm doing here is I'm just using a Vallejo black wash, and I'm just painting all over the head. A little goes a long way with this, so you can see how it looks really dark, probably too dark, but I just make sure to have some paper towels on me. And I just dab it off, and then I just keep dabbing until it's how I like it, and then if I dab too much off, I just go over it again. So this part was pretty time consuming, but overall it was really cool just watching them come together. After I'm done with doing the Vallejo black wash, then there are spots I'm obviously going to want to make a little bit darker. So I went to using some lamp black oil paint. Little goes a long way with this stuff, and it takes a long time to dry because it's oil based and not acrylic. So this also takes a lot of dabbing, and you don't need to use very much to get a lot of effect on here. So I just got a lot of the deep crevices just to add the shadows, his tentacle things up top, and then also his ears. And then I went the mouth part I did really dark just to get that shadow on there. And I also went around the mohawk piece just a little bit. Alright, now I'm just hitting them with the 2X clear coat. I prefer using gloss for this. I think gloss on top of the textured paint looks pretty good. So then we're moving on to doing the eyes. There's probably, I can think of a million different ways I could have done this better, but basically I just sprayed some Elmer spray adhesive and stretched some spandex that I bought at Hobby Lobby over these 3D printed eye cages. So this one I'll show a little bit more of how I made it nice and uniform. I just slowly keep pulling and pulling and pulling on that, stretching it around the cage. Occasionally I'll have to do some extra coats of glue. Like I said, there's probably a few better ways I could have done this. Alright, then moving into gluing the eyepieces in. Oh, I did forget to mention, what I did is glue those cages with the spandex. I glued those into Christmas ornament bulb halves. You have to grind those down a little bit or else they'll dig into your eyes. So I actually glued those into the Christmas bulb halves. You can see it looks pretty good, I think. I probably could have grinded them down a little bit more. But overall, I think it works. Okay, so the snap system in here is a little crude. This is my first time doing something like this, so I'll probably do a better job on this later, but just some basically purse magnets and some elastic I hot glued in there, and also some pads for the eyes so it's a little bit more comfortable. A lot of that stuff can get covered up once I decide to actually align this. I didn't do it for this video. Magnets just are stretched over and locked into the male end of the magnet that I just melted into the inside side of the helmet. And that's pretty much the inside system. If you've made it this far, you've made it to the end of the video, and I really appreciate you watching. If you want to make a Greedo helmet just like I did, you can check out the Millennium Workshop. That's Rex, and he's a great guy. He's helped me a lot, and I would highly suggest you check out his channel because he made this helmet even better than I did. So again, thanks for watching my inaugural video, and I'll see you next time.